the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
No Mitch or Paul. We have replaced them forever. No, they will be back next week. Paul Howard back from vacation on Monday. And I don't know when Mitch comes back. Celebrating the kid's birthday.
How old's the kid, 2?
1.
Oh, okay. People always say time flies. It seems like he's had that kid for a while.
Well, generally time flies when you're having fun.
Well, yes. How old your kids are? You've got a couple of boys. You still got 2, right?
Correct.
I'm going to say 6 and 4.
Wow, almost nailed it.
Really?
6 and 3.
Okay.
Almost nailed
It's
it.
not bad.
No,
bad.
they got the mind of a hawk. You ask me about them every day. I send you pictures. They call you Uncle Matty.
Yeah.
I don't think you've ever met my children, actually.
I have. I've met one of them.
Oh, that's right.
You brought him out to the South Point. We were working out there.
Remember those bowl briefs? I was recording bowl briefs a while back, and brought in my child to take time out of my day to do those.
That's right.
Worked very hard for those. Yeah, very much so.
Anything for the money.
That's right. Very much so. All right. We have the NBA postseason, of course, approaching. This is not considered the postseason. It is the play-in tonight. We will finally get 2 teams and the 8th seed tickets punched. By the way, 1-8 series previews will be up at VSiN.com when these games are over, so you can check those out. I have the Eastern Conference. Zach Cohen has the Western Conference. But tonight, the news is going to be the status of one Ja Morant. Now, it is not expected that he's going to miss this game. By all accounts, he will play. But we're starting to see the market move. 5.5s across the board now. As I speak over the last couple of minutes, those 5.5s have appeared. With the total, kind of toggling between 220.5, 221.5. We'll see where it eventually ends up. But, Matt, if everything we're hearing is true, Ja Morant's ankle is swollen, needed an injection for the pain, all those sort of things.
Sure. I believe that, too, by the way. He was hobbling at the end of the game against Golden State.
Yep.
He was hobbled at the end. I wondered, what's he going to be for the Warriors' next game? Is he going to be 80%? Here's the thing, too. During the game tonight, he might aggravate the injury and might not be able to finish the game. I told you, it's a 2-dog night for me. I do like Dallas +6 here.
Yes, so do I. And we mentioned this with Aaron Renning. I talked about this at the top of the show, but I think it's worth reiterating once more. Say what you will about the trade for Luka Doncic. At the end of the day, this is 4 of the 5 pieces the Mavericks envisioned on the floor when they were putting that team together. A defensive-oriented team with Kyrie Irving leading the charge. And even though Irving's not out there, you have Klay Thompson and P.J. Washington, who are 2 good defensive wings who could take care of business along the perimeter if you need. You have Anthony Davis, who's a very good help defender in that front court, along with Derek Lively. This team's got some upside on defense that I think is going to help them. We saw that against the Kings the other night. I mean, Domantas Sabonis did not show up, but also he was completely shut down by this front court. And that team had a very hard time scoring against these guys. And I think a lesser group like this, in terms of the Memphis Grizzlies, who I don't think are particularly good, you can look at those numbers in the half court. They're a pretty average group. I think that this is one where Dallas can certainly stay inside of that number, given the way that they're kind of playing here and given the way they showed up. I mean, we saw it. Klay Thompson, still capable of scoring in flurries, as we saw in that game against Sacramento. The shooting is there. The defense is there. And I'll take my chances with catching 6 with Dallas here in the spot against Memphis.
How about Desmond Bane? I want to throw something at you for a player prop for the Grizzlies.
Okay.
That's the one guy I think if Ja Morant's a little bit off tonight, Desmond Bane could put up a big number. What do you think?
I think it makes sense in terms of shot share and whatnot. He's going to have a larger load on his shoulders if Ja can't do it. And you're going to need to turn to somebody if that's going to be the case. I think in theory, that is where some of the shots would fall. The obvious answer, too, is Jaren Jackson Jr. taking more shots from beyond the arc and trying to supplement some of the offense if Ja Morant is not fully healthy. So I think it would make some sense if you're going to go in that direction.
In the game against Golden State, Morant took 18 shots. Desmond Bane was 11 for 21 from the field, scored 30 points. I think Memphis is going to need Bane to step up big again tonight.
Yes, I think that would make a lot of sense. For the season so far, 39-30 to the over in terms of his point total props. He has gone over his point total prop in 4 out of the last 5 games, including 3 straight, Desmond Bane. He has performed admirably, and he's had, to that point, too, a larger share workload, and I do think that that's going to be it. So if you're going in that direction, if you're picking certain players, I think it would be it, and I think Dallas, I'm going to play a little on the money line here, too. we'll see where this number eventually closes. Also interesting to see the market move now, unless we miss some news. It's only a half-point move, but it seems that the market's finally starting to budge on, maybe Morant's not fully healthy.
I don't think he is. Just based on, like you said, the way he was hobbling at the end of that game against the Warriors, I wondered what he's going to be able to come back and do 3 days later. For a guy like that, too, who's going to be putting a lot of stress on the ankle during the game, it's probably going to get worse and worse. So I'm not real optimistic about what Ja Morant can do tonight on that bad wheel.
No, not at all. I'm trying to see if maybe there's something that's come up here in the last few minutes in terms of the issues, but it doesn't really seem to be the case. Trae Young is going to play tonight. I don't know if you knew that. It's a running joke. He's actually been listed with an Achilles issue all year long and listed as probable. He will officially go. I am being distracted, though, because apparently I've been sent a black and white picture of a man from Chris Massero and says that this is Jolton Joe. So I guess it's an old baseball player?
Joe DiMaggio.
Oh, that's the name? Joel. I know who Joe DiMaggio is. I didn't know they would call him Jolton Joe. I thought last time you told me he was like a boxer.
Oh, we were talking about Joe Louis, I believe, something like that.
Yeah.
Joe DiMaggio was Jolton Joe. I thought you knew that.
No, you told me it was a boxer last time.
You didn't know it was Joe DiMaggio?
No.
Okay.
I had no idea.
Well, I think Tim Murray calls him Jolton Joe because of the jumper cables he needed when his car
giving
broke.
his car a jolt. Okay.
Yeah, giving his car a jolt.
Okay.
Didn't his car break down on the way here for his first show?
Multiple times it's happened, but I believe, yes, it was like the first week or something like that.
That's where the Jolton Joe came from, but Joe DiMaggio was actually Jolton Joe.
Oh.
I think, what was Joe Louis's nickname?
Okay. Maybe that's where we got mixed up here. The nickname for Joe
Brown
Louis. The Brown Bomber, or I think that's all I got. Yeah, the Brown Bomber. Nicknamed the Brown Bomber, widely regarded as one of the greatest and most influential boxers of all time.
Which is true. Yeah.
That's very true.
Hey, at one point, did I see the Heat plus 1.5 here?
Earlier in the week, when this first got set, yes.
That's why I was looking at the Heat as a dog. That's what I was talking about, playing both dogs tonight. This is now a Heat minus 1.5 here.
Yep.
And basically across the board. Where do you think this number closes?
I thought, like I said, 1.5 across the board. I thought it was going to be solid across the board. I mean, the market likes Miami. I think there's a lot of people who are waiting for the opportunity for the Heat to just show them some semblance of being the Heat, and in a play-in game with everything on the line to see that be the case against Chicago, who had been one of the hottest teams post All-Star break. I think there was a lot of people just waiting for that sign of life, and now here we are. I mean, we saw it too. I mean, to be fair, the market got it right. Remember, I think I was on with Mitch when that game was happening, but the market went up to 2, and then the late move was toward the Miami Heat, and that got it done.
Okay.
So here we are again, and we're starting to see as we get closer to game time. This is not specifically late, but we are an hour away from tip-off here, and so the late move now is going toward Miami.
Just turn back the clock a couple days. It was Wednesday. There was some sharp money on the Bulls against the Heat, and that was a blowout, basically wire to wire. What happened to the Bulls in that game?
Miami happened. I thought they were pretty good on defense. I mean, when you watched them play, Spoelstra, give him credit, man. He is still a very good coach.
That's why I said, do you want to bet on Spoelstra tonight? I don't want to bet against him. He's been one of my favorite coaches for a while. Obviously, Spoelstra's game plan against the Bulls was executed to a T. Mm-hmm. What's he going to do tonight?
I'm going to get annoyed because I do have this Atlanta to make the playoffs ticket, and I just have this feeling that they are going to fail.
And you don't want to hedge it, right?
No, I mean, it's not worth that much, so I'm just going to let it ride. It's more about the irritation of, again, believing in the Atlanta Hawks and losing again with the Atlanta Hawks, which is going to be pretty irritating if that ends up being the case. But I agree with ER. Aaron Renning was with us earlier. Like he said, he made this Hawks -1 in that range, and that's what I thought this number should be. I thought the opener was fair. I understand maybe the market getting a little bit out on Atlanta considering their performance against Orlando, but I'd also say that Miami is not the defensive team that Orlando is. To invoke ER one more time, as he put it, you can make the argument, and statistically they are, that Orlando is a better defensive team than Boston. Right. Because they have been incredible on that end of the floor. That is not what Miami is at this point right now. And I think that there is a case to be made that the market is overreacting here, especially with this money line price upwards of -130. If you're getting +110 on the Atlanta Hawks, I do think that is a play worth making if I did not already have this make the playoffs ticket and need them to win tonight.
Okay, even if you did not have that bet, I think you'd probably just live bet this game. We've talked about this a lot. We talked about this on the primetime show, our live betting show. 4-hour show each night. When you've got an NBA game that's lined around 1 point, would you say 9 times out of 10 or 19 times out of 20 you're better off live betting the game because you're going to get a better number on both sides?
I would agree. I mean, I think you can make the argument every basketball game you're better off betting in game. They're volatile, they're high possession games for the most part. We have actually seen pace slow down a little bit here in these play-in games. That's the other part about these games we should note with these totals too, is these are the true elimination games as well. So maybe you really start to see these things take that just grind to a halt mentality of we got to win, we got to go home, let's walk these balls up, let's overcoach, let's get this more half-court oriented. That might be the case. Atlanta-Orlando was a relatively slow game, and Memphis and Golden State was much slower than the game they had played against one another about a week and a half previously. The first game had 105 possessions, and 98 possessions, I believe, was the number when they played in the play-in.
Well, that's another thing I don't like about the Grizzlies tonight. I thought they put a lot into that game and the comeback against Golden State on, that was Tuesday night, right?
Yep.
They put a lot into that game. I think it's going to be a bit of a letdown for them tonight after losing that game. They really went down to the wire.
Could be. All right. Coming up in 15 minutes, Dennis Berstein is going to be with us as we get his thoughts on the Stanley Cup Playoffs, which are about to begin. Very excited for that. And on the other side, we continue to pour through the draft position props that Circa has posted. Quite a few guys have seen their numbers move. We'll tell you which ones they are and if there is a bet to be made on those draft positions and more, because we are less than a week away from the first round.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
So we've had some time to digest some of the player draft position props that have been up. You uttered a name during the break. We hit on these in terms of the updates, but didn't really analyze where they eventually could go. Tedorovic McMillan, wide receiver out of Arizona. Some would consider to be the number one receiver. Some would not. 18.5 at the open, shaded to the under at -130. I believe that has moved here at Circus since. What do we have, 16.5 now for him?
McMillan is 16.5. What's the price?
We'll get it. I'll get it for you right now. Not great television with our back of our giant domes.
Price is under -170, over +120. I would look over 16.5 +120. Actually, I think there's a good chance McMillan's going to slip into the 20s. This wide receiver class, not deemed to be the best or deepest, but I think these top two, of the top two, I believe Matthew Golden from Texas has gained a lot of steam because of the speed, the way he tested at the combine. He's the fastest wide receiver. I think the Cowboys take him at number 12.
Okay.
And I've got a couple bets related to that. Matthew Golden draft position under 16.5 at +115. That's up at Circa right now. And Matthew Golden to be the first wide receiver selected, I got that at 2-1. That was a few days ago. You might still be able to find that. DraftKings, FanDuel, Caesars, Will Hill, BetMGM, pretty much the sources right now for most of those draft bets. But Golden to be the first wide receiver, 2-1 odds. I also played Jackson Dart to be the second quarterback at 2-1 odds. But the draft positions up here at Circa, there's two I like.
Real quick, Golden first wide receiver. That's what you were looking at?
Golden first wide receiver.
+150 right now at DraftKings.
Okay. It was 2 days ago. It was +$2, but we'll go with +150. I still think it's a good bet. I really like him to be the first wide receiver. But the two draft position props up at Circa right now, I think you can bet. Matthew Golden under 16.5 at +115. And how about Tyler Warren? We've talked a lot about him during this show. Tyler Warren, Penn State tight end, under 10.5 -155. If he's there for the Bears at 10, I think the Bears take him. Ben Johnson's going to love Tyler Warren in that offense. And I know that there's been some talk that the Bears love Ashton Genty to slip to 10. I don't think that's going to happen.
Trying to find.
And if Genty is still on the board, that means Tyler Warren's probably going to be off the board. So I like Tyler Warren under 10.5, Matthew Golden under 16.5.
We talked about number 4 potentially being a spot for Warren. If that was the case, the New England Patriots, you can get him at about 50-1.
Yeah, we talked about that with Chris Massaro. I think, does 4 seem a little bit early for Tyler Warren? Yes, but if that's a guy you think is going to be a big difference maker in your offense, think about what Rob Gronkowski meant to that Patriots offense over the years. Would he have been worthy of a number 4 pick? Hell yeah.
I just think it's an offense that desperately needs skill positions, man.
No doubt. Got to have playmakers. How valuable was Brock Bowers in the Raiders offense last season?
Right.
Yeah.
They
got what, the Raiders get him at number 14?
Yes, something like that, 12 to 14, somewhere in that range. You can get him. Obviously, he should be available there at number 4, unless all hell breaks loose at number 3, and we see something absolutely insane. What do you make of Emeka Egbuka? This was also one of the movers for the guys here at Circa. We saw this open Egbuka at 25.5 over -150. That has since been adjusted 3 spots. Is 28.5 under -150. Does he slip out of the first round? Did you have him in the first round of your mock draft?
I got him at number 29 to Washington.
Okay, so right in line with where you're at.
Well, basically, I'm saying he's a coin flip to go first round. That's one of those bets you make. You're going to be sweating bullets towards the end of the first round, hoping that your guy gets called. I don't think there's a lot of value. I don't think there's any value in that bet. Let's put it that way. I mean, he could go 29. He could go 35.
So it just takes one, as we always say. And one of the big wide receiver surprises was the Raiders when they selected Henry Ruggs that first time, right? I mean, that was a shock in terms of him being the first receiver selected at that moment. So it only takes one team to like a wide receiver, and you get there, especially a wide receiver, which is like a little bit more, I guess, as I call it, kind of personal, right? How you evaluate them, how you think they're going to fit in your offense.
Sure.
Could really ultimately be the case. I want to bring up Mason Graham really quickly.
That's why I think the Cowboys like Matthew Golden. They love the speed. He's faster than McMillan. That's why I think he's going to be the Cowboys' pick. They want somebody opposite CeeDee Lamb, and the Matthew Golden with that speed, I think, is going to be a good best fit for the Cowboys.
I wanted to bring up Matthew Golden because I wanted to ask you the question of, do you buy this smoke, intel, whatever it is, that the Jacksonville Jaguars are seriously considering Ashton Jeanty at number 5?
I don't. We discussed that briefly yesterday. I think it's more of they're trying to trick teams into maybe trading for the number 5 pick of teams. Even the Raiders. They know the Raiders have a lot of interest in Jeanty at number 6, right? So they're sitting right in front of the Raiders, and I think they're putting that out there to try to get other teams to call them to make a deal for the 5th pick.
Because I bring that up because Mason Graham, I mean, you're getting some pretty cheap prices on him to go at number 5. He is widely mocked to go in that position.
I mocked him there. I think it makes the most sense for Jacksonville.
-110 to be the 5th overall selection. Draft position prop here at Circa, 5.5 under -170. So there's obviously a chance that maybe these other teams do it, but it seems like a pretty cheap price for something that is widely considered to be the selection.
Yeah, but that's also that's true. But if let's say Jaguars trade that number 5 pick, that's a team moving into the number 5 spot to draft someone specifically, and it would probably be someone like Ashton Jeanty if they were making the deal, right?
Or Shedeur Sanders?
I don't think so. I don't think Sanders is going top 10. Do you? I don't dislike him that much as a prospect. I think he's okay, but I'm telling you what, I don't think Cam Ward should be the number 1 overall pick either.
Right. Could be the case. Sorry, I'm laughing. I'm looking at a mock draft from ESPN that was posted yesterday where at number 9, they have Tyler Shuck going to the New Orleans Saints.
Get out of here. Who posted that?
This is a combination of Matt Miller and Jordan Reed. And according to Miller, the pick that fills a big need would be Tyler Shuck.
At number 9?
Yeah. I'm telling you, dude, we do this all the time.
If somebody put that in a high school newspaper, I'd say, okay. But that's Matt Miller of ESPN?
Yeah. It would be fill the biggest need there.
Come on.
Okay, let me ask you about a couple of guys and where you put them here. Jalen Walker, the edge player, 8.5, shaded to the under at -500 was the initial opening price.
Price is too high. I think he's definitely a top 8 pick. I believe, didn't I mention yesterday, I think that'd be the best pick for the Raiders at number 6.
And by the way, the market agreed with you, at least when he got posted here at Circa. A couple of people came in on +325 over because that is now down to under -335. So that opened up under -500. Now it is -335, +230 on the over.
Jalen Walker's a guy who's going to be a stud in the middle of your defense. He's a linebacker, edge rusher. He can basically play all over the field, sideline to sideline. I think the Raiders get more value out of pick like that, but he could go 5, he could go 6, and he could go 8. So that's what his draft position's 8.5. I don't think he slips out of the top 8. He's too good.
Now, the biggest move in terms of overall draft position, one player was hung up here at Circa, and his draft position moved 18 slots.
Really?
Yes.
Who?
Cam Scatabo. They opened him up 138.5. He is now down to 120.5.
I like Scatabo. See, that's where we're talking about running backs and where you can get value in the second round, third round, whatever. JVT, how much of a difference is there between Ashton Genty and Cam Scatabo? I don't think there's much.
I would argue that there's not too much. Genty's obviously the better player, but there's not that much.
He's the better player, but think about it. If you take Scatabo in the second round or you get him in the third, let's say you get him in the third round.
Yeah.
Don't you love that value for Cam Scatabo in the third round?
Of course.
And by the way, I agree with the move on the draft position. I actually think Scatabo should probably be a second-round pick. So there's still value in that draft position.
Mm-hmm.
You said it's moved 38 spots?
No, 18.
18 spots.
138.5 was the original 120.5 is now his draft position.
Still
the
like it.
138.5, that was what was opened here at Circa Sports. So
still like it.
Under 120.5, you're laying 280.
Let's say you make the Raiders. I'll let you make the Raiders pick number 6. Who are you taking?
Depending on who is available, I'm going with either offensive line or defensive line. So whoever you want to put in that slot.
All right.
Let's say Walker.
So in the second round for the Raiders, I'll take Cam Scatabo.
Right.
How's that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's what you do. Trust me, I'm with you, man. I don't think it makes any sense if that was going to be the case, but Raiders are going to do what Raiders do. Profit X offering the best odds all baseball season long. Profit X is a peer-to-peer sports exchange available in 40-plus states, the first of its kind in the U.S. You will be able to make your sports picks against other groups of fans rather than against sports books. Exchanges guarantee you the best odds on average by 10 to 20%. You can even request your own odds. Download Profit X today with the code VSIN and earn up to $200 in profit cash over your first month, or $300 in profit cash your first month. Check it out now, Profit X. Yeah, I'm with you. They better not do it. I'm going to go on a limb and say they don't do it. I think Spytech's not going to let them do it.
There's a story up on ESPN.com.
You have to save it. Dennis Berstein coming up next. Let's take a look at the Stanley Cup Playoffs.
This is Follow the Money on VSIN.
Last 30 minutes of the program, we'll have in-pocket plays coming up in about 15 minutes. But more importantly, we get ready for the Stanley Cup postseason. Very excited for it. Dennis Berstein, nice enough to give us a couple of minutes here today to get ready for the Stanley Cup playoffs. And, of course, you can find the work, the fourth period, Sirius XM, NHL, at Dennis TFP up on Twitter. All right, let's get right into this. I am very interested in your read here for this Colorado-Dallas series, Dennis, because we're steadily seeing the market head in the direction of the Avalanche. They are now up to a $1.55 favorite. Is the market support for Colorado apt here?
Spot on, JVT. Look, I like Colorado in this series before Jason Robertson got hurt. All right, the moves that they've made in season and off season. The reason I love the Avs here, first of all, Cale Makar, 30 goals as a defenseman rarely happens. He's clearly the Norris winner, the best defenseman in the league. But go down the middle. You still win with goaltending, with defense, and with center play. Nathan McKinnon, Brock Nelson, Charlie Cole, who was a 1C sometimes in Boston, is now their 3C, and Jack Drury. They're too strong. They're too deep. I like them in the series. The market's going the right way. I think this could be relatively easy because the two injuries, Miro Heiskanen, the best defenseman for Dallas, isn't playing, and now on top of that, the Jason Robertson injury. And when they say week to week in the NHL, JVT, they never mean 1 week.
Sure.
So it's at least 2 weeks that would take them out of this series. I do like Colorado pretty convincingly in this series.
So it sounds like something like you would lay 1.5 games. Would you lay up to 2.5 games? Could it really be that short?
Oh, no, I'd lay 1.5.
Okay.
I think, but 2.5 is asking a lot. So Dallas does have depth. They have the better goaltender, although I don't trust Jake Ottinger in the playoffs. 2.5 is a little bit too much, but 1.5 might be a reasonable play.
All right, Avalanche minus 140 in the series. If you bet to sweep, 12-1. 5 games plus 650, 6 games plus 425 if you like the Colorado side. Dennis, you said even though the Kings and the Oilers are playing for the 4th year in a row, that you're still fired up for this matchup. Why is that?
Yeah, there should be matchup fatigue, Matty, if it was still the same teams.
Right.
These are two very different teams than the team that played last season. The Oilers 1-5 last year. But not only did they dominate them, they bullied them. So what did the Kings do? Last season, their fourth line center was 5'9" and 175. This year, it's Sammy Hellenius is 6'6" and 205. The guy next to him on the fourth line replaced Tanner Jeannot, who's a fighter. This kid, Jeff Malott, is 6'5" and 200, and his brother's a UFC fighter. So this is a better, deeper, and badder LA team. They should win. They have the better goaltender in Darcy Kemper, who, look, Connor Hellebuyck's going to win the Vezina, but Darcy might be a finalist. This is a very, very different team. I do like the Kings here, not only because of, I think they're a better team, but without Matthias Ekholm, the best defenseman for the Oilers, I don't see the matchups defensively that they can hold off the Kings. And if you watch the Kings over the last 22 games, they're 17-5. They're on a roll. They found more offense. I like the Kings in this series, but I'm not discounting Connor and Leon, but they will have to have their best performance of the 4 seasons these two teams have played to take them to the second round.
Dennis, why have the Kings been so strong in their home ice? The record's incredible this season.
Well, I think, Matty, part of it is they're really good defensively, and they're still a defensive team. So when they don't play well at home, let's say in the first period, it's usually 0-0. They don't fall behind by multiple goals. That's one of the reasons. But when you talk to the coach, Jim Heller, and you talk to the players, Matt, I'll be honest with you, they can't explain it either. Like, there's really no explanation for most of this. They're a very good team. They've played down the stretch, but to only lose 5 games at home in regulation, and 4 of them were against non-playoff teams, it's inexplicable. But you better win all your games because you're going to have to go on the road and win games in the Stanley Cup playoffs. So while it's a nice advantage for this team and they need all the advantages they can have from a mental standpoint, it doesn't clinch the series for them, but it's certainly to have a Game 7 if it comes to that, have it in Los Angeles as opposed to Edmonton like we did 3 seasons ago. It is an edge for the Kings.
Building on that, just in general, how important is home ice? Because the Knights out here have also been a very strong home team, have not been as great on the road. How important in these postseasons is home ice, considering that a goaltender can command most of what is going to happen in these contests?
JVT, I think it's important for a Game 7, but before that, you got to win road games. You're not going to run the table at home. You're not. It's like these teams are too good. There's not much separating these teams. Now, I'll say this. I don't believe that in the Vegas series. I think there's a lot separating the two teams. But I think when you get deep in series and you got to play maybe a clinching Game 5 or a clinching Game 7 at home, I think it's an advantage. But it's not that big of an advantage because you will have to win on the road if you're ultimately going to win the 16 wins that it takes to win the Stanley Cup.
Dennis Berstein with us, fourthperiod.com.
Dennis, this Vegas team won 50 games, and I believe you think the Golden Knights are going to coast in the first round?
I think it's a sweep, to be honest with you, Matty. Because, look, Minnesota, of all the teams in the West, this is the worst matchup. You know why? The physicality, the size of Vegas on defense, their forwards up front. In a different season, Jack Eichel's an MVP, wins the Hart Trophy. It's been a great season for this team because you know why? That team had a chip on their shoulders ever since they went out in 7 in the first round last season. They have a chip on their shoulders. They're back. They're healthy. Aiden Hill's playing great down the stretch. It's the worst possible matchup for Minnesota. I might give them a home win, but Matt, of all the 16 teams, Minnesota has, I think, the 15th best home record this season. So this is a relatively, I think it's a breeze for the Vegas Golden Knights, and it'll help them in the next round when they play the winner of Vegas, LA and Edmonton.
I like the bold prediction there, Dennis. Vegas in a sweep is 8-1 odds, plus 800, and in 5 games would be 4-1. Do you think this VGK team can get back to a Stanley Cup final? Is this team that strong?
Yeah. I'll say there's 5 teams. Like, they're the team that can beat the Central Division teams. Like, if Edmonton or LA got out of the Pacific, I don't think they could beat Winnipeg, Dallas, or Colorado. I know the Kings will have trouble with Dallas and Colorado. So Vegas is the best suited and the best matchup to get past those Central Division teams. So, yeah, they can do it. They're a confident team. They've been there before. Cassidy's done a great job. So, yeah, they have the goods to get to a cup final. I'm not sure the rest of the teams who are in contention in the West can do that against those strong Central Division teams.
Dennis, what is the team, the underdog, that you think could win their series outright?
I don't trust the Toronto Maple Leafs. I don't. I'm sorry. I don't. I can't. So I think Ottawa. Of the teams in the East, I think the lower seed that has the best shot is Ottawa, not Montreal, not I think Florida's all beat up, and they've played a lot of hockey. JVT. So I think the team that I really like, because all the pressure's on Toronto. But the last 7 games Ottawa and Toronto played, Ottawa won 6, and they swept the season series. So I think the Ottawa Senators has a legit shot to come out in the second round.
Dennis, I'm curious. You've really strong here on Colorado, on Vegas. What would you say your best bet is here in the first round?
Best bet would be,
in terms of a series winner,
shorter than 7 games for Tampa to beat Florida. Washington, 5 games max over Montreal. I'll give Montreal a home win in Bell Center because there's going to be a wild atmosphere. The series I think is more contentious than people think. Winnipeg and St. Louis. I think that goes 7 games because St. Louis has played great down the stretch. They have a goaltender who beat the other goaltender in the Four Nations, so they were playing on opposite sides. So I think I like that. And again, I think really strong about Vegas. But I think most of the favorites in the East will come out. I'll give Ottawa the best shot at coming out. But other than that, and Carolina, New Jersey is going to be a long series as well. If you're betting games, I think Carolina, New Jersey could be 7-game series as well.
So I know that you didn't want to talk too much about this series, but I'm curious your thoughts about just Carolina in general, because from my perspective, Dennis, they've been kind of like an analytical darling. They get some market respect. We saw a little bit of it last year. What keeps them from achieving these goals? Is this team any different?
I'm biased because I picked them 2 years in a row, JVT, to win the Stanley Cup, and they didn't. So I got a little chip on my shoulder about this team. They messed up the Rantanen. They needed Rantanen. I know they got Stankoven, and he's a good kid, and they messed that up. I just don't think there's enough offense, JVT, to get when they get deep into the playoffs. Yeah, so I think that's the biggest challenge for the team. Will they score enough? And guys, every year when they get eliminated, what do we say? They didn't score enough. Right. So I question their offense. Right, that's the team. That's the thing. And is the goaltending going to be reliable? Are they going to? They're going to go to Kochetkov, not Freddie Anderson. So I just don't think there's enough there. When I look at teams like a Tampa, look at teams if Toronto would get past, and even Washington. I think of the 4 higher seeds, they're the 4th best higher seed right now. And I think they're getting a break by playing New Jersey because no Jack Hughes.
Dennis Berstein here. Great spot. Going to wrap it up with this. You're not going to go with Carolina. What's your Stanley Cup pick this time? And looking at your well-designed office in the background there, is U2 your favorite rock band of all time?
I saw him at the Sphere, so absolutely.
Okay.
Matty, a rematch of 2022, Tampa Bay and Colorado, and they'll turn and I think that Colorado will eventually win again because I love what they have down the middle. I love Cale Makar. The only question is they have 2 goaltenders that have never won a Stanley Cup playoff game. That's the one fatal flaw, but I do think Colorado, because they have such great depth, I like them over Tampa Bay in the final.
Dennis, we appreciate it. TheFourthPeriod.com, where you can find it. Thank you very much for your time. Good luck this weekend.
Always great being on VSiN, boys. Thanks for the time. Appreciate it.
Dennis TFP, if you want to follow him up on Twitter.
He saw U2 at the Sphere. Have you been to the Sphere?
No, I have not. That has not been something I have achieved yet.
What's your favorite rock band?
I'm terrible with music. We'll go with Lamb of God.
What?
You say that. I'll play you something in the break, and then I want your reaction when we come back.
I'm going with Led Zeppelin. I've never heard of what you just said.
Yeah, I'll play it for you during the break. It's one of the best live albums I think you'll ever hear. Philadelphia. Look it up. I'll tell you that right now. All right, In Pocket Plays when we come back, and I will convert Matt in the next 4 minutes about Lamb of God.
On coke if his girlfriend was not done.
These games are a burial, a blowout, a human lock. You can bet your children's unborn children on these games.
I was so good that whenever I bet, I could change the odds for every bookmaker in the country.
We got it yesterday. Andre Palante, we talked about this. St. Louis Cardinals pitcher. ERA was a little low. You thought, he'll dig in a little bit. It's probably due to get tagged. And did get tagged. Over 2.5 earned runs allowed for Palante comes in. Small plus price at plus 110. He only played for yesterday in a very quiet.
How many runs did he allow?
Last look, it was 4. I believe they took him out after that. I will double check to see what the final count was, but I believe that was the end of the damage that he had allowed up to this point. But did end up getting beat up. Yes, it was only 4. It was all 4 runs that the Mets actually scored that day. So not a good day for Palante. In total, 6 innings, 7 hits, 4 earned runs, 2 strikeouts, got taken deep once. So Palante, you fraud. You get got. pending play, Pistons-Knicks over 5.5 total games. Series gets started tomorrow. One of the series I'm very excited to watch. I'm very excited for pretty much all of them outside of the 1-8 matchups, which don't have a ton of intrigue. I guess Heat could too, but that is still pending. For today, 2 plays. We'll go Mariners first 5, -110 against the Blue Jays. We will trust in Brian Wu to get this thing done against the Toronto Blue Jays. But more importantly, outside of supporting Brian Wu, this is a play against the Blue Jays at this point right now. So, especially when you're talking about your starter coming out with some really questionable numbers at this point for Toronto. So, Bowden Francis, you get got, and I think Ryan Wu can get this thing done. And then Mavericks +6 versus the Grizzlies. Starting to see the market move in that direction here today, Matt. I think the market is correct in showing some support for Dallas. We're starting to see some 5.5s across the board. So, get it while it's hot, but those 6s are disappearing quick.
Well, we're on the same page on that one. I'm gonna play the dog as well. Mavericks +6. Again, I've got 2 plays pending. Rockets to win the series at +170. You think the Rockets are live, right?
Of course. I made the same bet myself.
I'm thinking about playing the Rockets in Game 1. You like?
I cannot put my blessing on this next one, but yes, I can also. I would say Rockets are live in Game 1 as well.
We talked about this with Chris Massaro, also yesterday with Chad Andrus.
Disappointing.
Nuggets in 7 at +390. And if it gets to 7, you're in a great spot there. You're going to have the home team, the best player in the world. You got +390. You can do something with that. Anyway, tonight, Mavericks +6. Let's go to the NFL draft. I've got several. Actually, I think I'm up to 10 plays on the draft now. Let's go with these 4 for this show today. Matthew Golden, Texas wide receiver, draft position under 16.5, +115. That's up at Circus Sports right now. I project Golden to the Cowboys at number 12.
Okay.
I'm also going to go with Golden, first wide receiver selected at +150. I've already bet that at +200, but 150 is the current number out in the market. I do believe Golden goes before Teteroya McMillan, the wide receiver from Arizona. Tyler Warren, tight end from Penn State, under 10.5. I think it could go, hey, if the Patriots took him at 4, I don't think it would be a bad call by New England. But there's a decent chance he goes to the Jets at 7. If he's still on the board, the Bears are going to take him at number 10. I'd be really surprised if Ben Johnson and the Bears don't take Warren at 10 if he's there. Tyler Warren under 10.5, -155. And this is one of the original bets I made. Jackson Dart, second quarterback selected at +200. You mentioned the Cam Scatterbo prop. I'm going to bet that right after the show here. Arizona State running back. His draft position is now what?
120.5. Yes.
120.5.
Under under -280.
And that's Circa opened at 138.
Yes. And 138.5.
I think Cam Scatterbo is a second round pick, third round at worst. I like that. It's not going to be an official pick for this. We don't have the graphic up, but I'm going to bet this after the show. Scatterbo under 120.5.
The NBA playoffs are here, and so is the VSiN Killer Sports NBA Playoff Challenge.
Let's hear more about this.
Yep. We've invited 14 sharp minds and myself from the world of VSiN and Killer Sports to go head-to-head, making 38 picks each from the start of the playoffs all the way through the NBA Finals. It's a total of 570 NBA playoff picks, all available to VSiN Pro subscribers. Picks locked in 1 hour before the first game each day. You'll have fresh insights to guide your bets every step of the postseason. Right now, you can get full VSiN Pro access through August 1st for just $59. Don't miss this playoff edge. Head to VSiN.com/subscribe. Sign up today.
Let's talk about this a little bit more. Carl Sack, who's a respected handicapper out of Colorado from Killer Sports, wanted to put this contest together for the NBA playoffs. I know he contacted you about this. Who are the 15 handicappers in the field? I assume Carl and you are 2 of the 15.
Yes, it is Carl, myself, Kelly Bidlin, Zach Cohen, Mitch Moss. Let me get the full list right now, and I will tell you exactly
5 of the 15.
Who it is. Yes. All right, here we go.
Kelly Bidlin, not just a golf handicapper. He was also part of Hardwood Handicappers, I believe.
Correct.
Right?
Rest in peace. The group chat still lives, though. All right, so full list in alphabetical order. This is not in alphabetical order. I take that back. Alex Christensen, who is a betting analyst over at BetUS and TV. You can check him out. He's been on the network frequently. Kelly Bidlin, Drew Dinsick, Gil Alexander, Carl Sack himself, Kyle Akins, also part of Killer Cappers, Aaron Rinning, Doug Kazarian, Sean Green, Steve Fezzik. We know all these people, so we don't need to give their credentials. Zach Cohen, Scott, I always mispronounce Scott's last name. I believe it's Reichel. Who is a VSiN host guest, and host of the NBA Gambling Podcast, Ryan Kramer, Mitch Moss, and Jonathan Von Tobel.
That's a pretty good field. Field of 15, I like it. You got Aaron Renning into this.
Yes, very much.
Doug Kazarian.
Yes.
I think Kazarian's trying to get together a WNBA handicapping contest.
I've already been roped into college and into the NBA.
You're not going to do WNBA?
Let this be my announcement. I pass.
Okay.
I'm a team player. Only to an extent, though.
Seriously, what's the format for this? So the 15 handicappers says 570 plays.
So
how many plays do you have to make? How is the play format going to work out?
So full game sides and totals, as you generally make it. Throughout the course of the NBA playoffs, each of us will make 38 plays. First round, not like again, so our first round is not like this weekend. First round in total, so the first round of the postseason, we will be making 20 selections. Conference semifinals will be 10, conference finals 5, and then in the NBA finals we will have 3. Obviously whittled down to just one day, so that's how it goes. Winning play 1 point, push is a half point. Most points at the end of the playoffs wins. I believe there is no designation for a best bet, so that is how it will differ from the 2 contests that you have put out.
You don't get the point and a half for the best bet.
Yep. Tiebreakers, all contestants submit their pick for the NBA championship winner before the playoffs start on April 19th. Better put that in. Did not know that. At 10 a.m., if 2 or more contestants are tied after the playoffs are over, the contestant who picked the NBA championship winner correctly prevails. If a tie still remains, contestants will split the winnings. Both in all will get a trophy.
Okay.
There's a trophy on the line.
I love these contests. I know Carl Sack was working hard to organize this. What's the top prize? How much
first place is
money
awarded,
is at stake here?
First place, $3,000 in cash and a trophy. Runner-up gets $500.
All right.
I want the trophy. You can take the $3,000.
Okay, I'll take the $3,000. If you win, sure. I'll take it.
All right, so that gets started this weekend. Go to VSiN.com for all of the details. I wanted to throw a couple of things at you before we get out of here. First off, I did show you in the break what you asked my favorite band was, and I immediately went to Lamb of God. Your thoughts now that I have shown you Lamb of God?
Well, it's not going to be in my top 10 list.
Top 20?
I did see John Brown, VSiN producer, in action, his band at Double Down Saloon a couple weeks ago. Your favorite band reminded me a lot of that performance.
Okay.
JB's performance was outstanding. I'm not going to say the band that you picked would be in my top 10. I'm going to stick with Led Zeppelin.
Okay. 2 people check in. Brian No from Fox Sports Radio checks in and says, the respect I just gained for you for shouting out Lamb of God.
Are you serious?
Yep, that's awesome. And Coach May also checks in with just a Lamb of God, multiple exclamation marks. See? People are speaking.
Two people.
That means the people, though. I'm still not incorrect in my statement that the people are speaking. There's many more out there that I think would very much agree with me.
I think there's more than that would not agree with you.
I mean, Will Hill.
Different band.
I don't know. I would bring Will Hill up into this for no reason whatsoever. But like Will Hill's a man that pumps iron. I feel like he probably listens to lots of Lamb of God as well. Joe Serralo is a very hard individual.
I want to bet that Will Hill, Joe Serralo, and Scott Seidenberg are not going to go with Lamb of God as their favorite band.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Okay.
What about Tool? Is that a fair one?
I don't know.
You don't like Tool?
They're okay. We're talking about favorite bands, like best bands of all time.
Yeah.
No.
You're not going with Tool,
no,
really?
I'm not. No.
Wow. That's shaky. I mean, my respect for you. You don't make eggs. You don't listen to Tool or Lamb of God. What do you do with your time? You just watch old country westerns?
I watch replays of games and things like that.
Okay.
Led Zeppelin. Do you like
Zeppelin.
Led Zeppelin?
I mean, they're fine.
Too old for you, huh?
Stairway to Heaven, whatever.
Well, that's actually not one of my favorite Led Zeppelin songs.
No?
No.
Figured that you listened to that on repeat.
I think that song's way overrated.
I feel like are you an Alice in Chains guy?
Black Dog,
Pink Floyd?
Cashmere.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Go that way.
All right. VSiN.com. You can go check out everything you have to offer. Coming up next, it is a Friday. We've got a great show on tap for you today. VSiN Primetime. Youmans going to stick around for the next 4 hours. He'll be here at the desk watching everything going down later today. Yeah. And then, of course, followed by Cashing Out, Joe Serralo and company. And make sure you tune in to, I don't know if it's Tim tomorrow because he's on vacation, but either way, we got a great morning program at 7 a.m. Eastern. We'll see you on Monday.